Still alive.
All right, I'm live too.
All
Say,
right.
all right. Well, this one's gonna get cut up weird. Should we play the theme song?
About to play it. Hold on.
All right.
You know, if,
Okay.
if you fumble the ball 7 times, you get back in there on that eighth carry, and you take it to the house. That's what we're gonna do right now.
Yeah. Tonight's hot topics are death penalty, euthanasia, and the Green New Deal, and we're also going to talk about who's collecting our data. You you ready to go?
Death penalty. Let's jump right in.
Or we could hit the pause. We could hit the pause button.
Okay, fine,
You
fine.
wanna hit the
I'm feeling in a
pause?
death penalty mood though.
Yeah. Well, I have a great PDF of the Green New Deal. I can maybe put that up on the website.
Yeah, how about we burn that? How about that? How green is that?
Um, so tonight we are getting into round 6 through 8, the Fantasy Millionaires. Giving you our picks, giving you our guys that we're gonna highlight, and I think again we wanted to kind of touch on, just we're moving into the rounds now where 6 through 8, you're not you're looking at flex guys. And really, what's the philosophy on waiting, fading, going early?
Mm.
We both have our thoughts on it. So I think we kind of wanted, again, just get into value-based drafting and we're going to get into some of our guys later, but there's guys that, again, I'm pulling the trigger on way faster than their ADP and ECR. So
Yeah, and we got into a lively pre-show prep discussion yesterday about it, and after about 20 minutes of trying to explain it to one another and kind of argue our case, I think we both kind of agree like this would be a good kind of springboard to kind of jump into how you view your draft, how you view your process. When you go in, what mindset are you taking, and kind of how do you approach getting your guys, and relative to your draft position as well, relative to their ADP and relative to the value that you think they have compared to that ADP. So, I think that it warrants a discussion. So, with that being said, I think my point of view in a small summation would be to kind of hide my cards a little bit more than you. If a guy is going in the mid third round, I'm not going to try to reach for him. I'm going to hope he falls maybe to me at the end of the third round. Or if I have a guy who I think is valued at like a couple years ago, I had Kareem Hunt valued in about the eighth round or so, or seventh round. Or I actually had him valued in like the first round. I knew that Damian Williams was hurt, or whoever it was hurt. He'd torn his ACL for that year, whoever the lead back was. And it wasn't Damian Williams, somebody else. He tore his ACL, and Kareem Hunt was going to be the guy. And I knew I had that information. I sat on it in our draft because I know you guys didn't have the information. I waited on Kareem Hunt. His value just got better and better round after round. And I knew it after like the second round. I waited until like sixth, seventh, eighth round to get him. So I think for me, I want to get those guys at a value. Like I have my guys, but not that I don't think they're going to finish higher than their ADP, but I don't always want to go reach for that guy 3 rounds early because he's going to finish there. I say wait on him and get him a little bit, maybe 1 round early or right where he's valued at if he's not a popular guy. And we'll kind of get into the who's who of that. But that's my kind of stance. I kind of want to be shifty. I like your stance. It's a little bit different. Why don't you
well,
lay it out for us?
yeah. So I mean, that's a perfect example of, I think, when it's worth it is, and there's a player that I'm going to talk about in the 8th round that I think you could reach even earlier, and he's going in the 10th, 11th.
Love it. Love it.
But when you're looking at value-based drafting, you're looking at basically experts' projections or your own projections if you're willing to do the legwork on where that person is going to end up. And when you do value-based drafting, you're creating a baseline. So you're looking at, okay, there's 2 running back positions. So what's the average of 24 running backs in your league if you're in a 12-man league? What's the average? What's the average for 24 wide receivers? What's the average for the flex positions? We have 2. So again, this is why we've been highlighting why running backs have such value. There's less of them. They're it's economics. It's scarcity.
Right.
When you're looking at quarterbacks, there's 32 quarterbacks, and there's only 12 that you're going to start every week. So these are why quarterbacks tend to go later. But you had Lamar in the first round. I have him in the second round, and that's because, and experts are putting him in the third round. And the reason why is because we both don't think the regression is going to be as much as the experts. So we're projecting him a little bit higher than ECR, and then, ADP is just what, you're just looking at, what everyone's doing. But when you're trying to win your league, you're trying to get players that are going to end up being wide receiver 1s, wide receiver 2s, running back 1, running back 2. So, Lamar, if you look at him last year and you do the baseline, he had 550 points in our league, and the baseline is 411 points. So that's 138 points more per game. So there's players that, if your evaluation of them is better than what ECR says, then you reach for that person, because at the end of the day, it's your own projection of where they're going to end up. So that's why Christian McCaffrey is first in everyone's evaluation of him, is because when you're looking at value-based drafting, he's somebody that could score 200 more points than any other person at his position. If you look at Lamar Jackson, that works out to 9 points more per game each week that you're getting at that position. So, we wanted to touch on it just because I think both of us have guys that are, that we're reaching for a little bit. But I guess before we get into that, we wanted to, again, look at these rounds and kind of talk strategy before we give you like our guys in these rounds. Because
can I just jump in there for a second?
Sure.
I think that we're hunting for the same thing. Right. You're looking for guys who are drafted as wide receiver 2s or wide receiver 3s who can be wide receiver 1s. Same with the 0 RB folks. They're looking for that breakout RB, that James White, who can catch a bunch of balls out of the backfield, get you 6 touchdowns, and then he ends up being RB 18, and you got him at RB 36. So you're all trying to get value, and I agree. I think there's a nice healthy balance between holding out on some guys and grabbing some guys when you can get them, because they're not coming back to you. If you have your chance to get Mecole Hardman in the draft, get him. He's not coming back to you. I've learned that in the 20-plus drafts I've done this year.
Exactly.
He's hot. He's hot. He is overvalued by the whole community because his potential's through the roof. And we'll see if Tyreek Hill can come back from his hammy. Hopefully he can. But if Mecole Hardman's in that role and he gets 9 targets, 10 targets a game, he is a top 15 wide receiver because of his speed. Maybe he's not as technical. Maybe he doesn't know the offense as well, and he's not as proficient. Who cares? He's in an amazing offense with a great quarterback, and he's got cheetah wheels just like the cheetah. So that's why we reach. And so I'm all for reaching. And we'll talk about that when we reveal some of our picks today as well.
Yeah, but again, it's you're building a team, so you don't neglect positions. Like, you can reach if you have certain players on your team, and that's also part of value-based drafting. Is you have to look at what your team has, and so that's why I think in these rounds 6 through 8. I mean, these are really critical rounds, and that's what the people that we're going to highlight tonight are the people that we think are, potential, um, you know, put you in the playoff type guys that you're getting later. And so I think don't don't wait on the guys I'm going to name tonight. I think they're going to go later in most drafts, and I'm going to say put them here because the value is worth it. But again, in these rounds, now you're filling up. I think this is where quarterback rushes tend to happen. So I have 3 quarterbacks in the 6th round, and then I have at the end of the 6th round, and then I have 3 quarterbacks at the beginning of the 8th round. So this is I put Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, Kyler Murray all in the 6th round, and it's going to be hard to, these are my projections for them, but I do think that we're simpatico again. We're both size for Russell Wilson this year. He is the Millionaires' 4th quarterback off the board.
Yeah, it is interesting how we are 4 for 4 so far with QBs. I love Russell Wilson for so many different reasons. I think one of the reasons that we've been talking about why you love wide receivers, and you kind of beat me to this, which is I've heard of it before, but it's not something I followed or studied. Is the Big Hands Club. Having big hands, if you're a wide receiver, is a huge benefit. One of the biggest guys we talked about recently was Michael Thomas and his huge hands, and you've highlighted other guys. Well, Russell Wilson is in the huge hand club. There's a picture of him doing the the Da Vinci, whatever it was, and his hands are ginormous. I think that being able to control that football, his accuracy, you mentioned it last week, is tops in the league every year. I think he gets to throw the ball more this year, so he has upside. I think he's getting. I put him at the beginning of the 6th round. You have him a little more towards the end or the middle, but he has that winning upside each week. And if you pair him, which I mean, why wouldn't you, with DK Metcalf, my guy, then you're having that potential to really blow people out of the water when you go up, and especially near the end of the season. You think you're going to go see DK Metcalf in December? You want that guy when it's cold outside? He's going to hurt you. And Russell Wilson's got those big old hands that hold the ball, and he's going to hurt you too. So I think we both are big on him. I'm arguing, kind of against Twitter or against fantasy football out there. Not arguing against you, my friend, because we're simpatico. Tell me what you like about Russ. What gives you, confidence in him to be your guy this year at QB?
And this is the thing about Russell Wilson. He is historically just disrespected in the fantasy world. He finished 3rd in our league last year, and he was drafted in the 10th. So, usually in our leagues, he does tend to go around this time, and it's a perfect opportunity. So if you want to put him at the beginning, to me, he's the first. If you're looking for a quarterback and you're in the 6th round, he's the first guy you pick. That's my advice on him. I was going back and looking at our leagues. Cash has cashed a lot of money because of Russell Wilson. I had him on in our league in 2016 as my QB1. I had him in 2018 as my QB1. I went 9-4 both those years. Won the championship both those years.
Chip.
We had him in 2017. The team who got him in the 5th round, went 8-5. I think he continue and nothing in the last 4 out of the last 5 years. He's had 30+ TDs. I mean, this is what he does.
It's his thing.
Yeah, and again, I believe Russell Wilson. If you put him in a contest for accuracy, he's the most accurate quarterback in the NFL, and he just has everything you want as a quarterback. And it's just great that you can get him in the 6th round. So, I mean, He's to me the quarterback, and like I said, we've gone through these rounds. I mean, again, I'm building my rankings by with using value-based drafting, and also where to how to. I'm basically building a draft board.
Right.
So, to me, I have him at 6.09 because if I was picking there with that team, that's where I'm going to pick him. And but if you want to go earlier, go earlier. I have no problem, and that's why we wanted to talk about value based drafting in the beginning of the show, is because he is worth spending draft capital on,
Yes.
based on how he always performs year in year out. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree completely, and I think not year in and year out, but every other year, my next guy that I have ranked underneath Russell Wilson is a bit of a stretch. He's the on 444, the ADP for Matt Ryan is the eighth quarterback or the seventh quarterback taken off the board. I have him for me as my number 5 quarterback. It is an even year. He's going to ball out. That offense is ready to go. They got Hayden Hurst in the middle. They have, your boy Todd Gurley out of the backfield. They've got Russell Gage in the slot. They've got another first-round pick in Treadwell coming over from the Vikings, who he didn't live up to his first-round pick in Minnesota, but he's not a slouch. So I feel like they have a nice arsenal for him to really rebound. He's been in the system for a little bit longer this year, and I think he's going to be right up there. I have him ranked above Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's the next pick off the board, but that's where I go. Where do you go next after you kind of jump off from Russell Wilson?
So I'm going to take Drew Brees. I believe that Drew Brees, you saw what he did when he was healthy last year, and what I would do if I took Drew Brees is Tom Brady and Drew Brees, both of those guys, I think it's worth in the later rounds drafting a decent backup.
Right.
But I'm going to take Drew Brees just because of what he's going to give you when he's on the field,
Yeah.
and I don't see any reason why he's not going to be on the field for a full season. So Drew
Yeah.
Brees to me is I'm going to take him, then I'm going to take Kyler Murray, and then I'm going to go Matt Ryan. And they're all to me. I think Russell Wilson's in his own separate tier. I think he's really right underneath the Dak tier. I mean, he's close.
Yeah.
But I think Drew Brees, Kyler Murray, Matt Ryan they're kind of in their own. They're in their own tier. Where I think their outcomes are going to be similar. And
I put Tom Brady in that tier too, by the way. Like I have Kyler Murray, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees. So I'm a Brady guy this year more so than you, but I push him up there. Maybe not every week, but he's going to have his weeks. I bet you he finishes QB1 more than Drew Brees does. But maybe Drew Brees over the course of the season has a more more consistency with Michael Thomas. I think there's games he is going to explode. How can you not? He's got an arsenal. He's been secretly training and ignoring the COVID laws and doing team functions. And I mean, he's TB12, baby. So
I have Tom Brady as 10th, and
yeah.
I am warming to him. I did put Carson Wentz ahead of him, but
yeah, one pick. It's not like you're
So the way I did it is, I had 3 quarterbacks going back to back because this is how drafts go too. There's going to be the rushes.
Runs. Yeah, run go. Yep.
And in round 8, I have 8.01 as Matt Ryan, then Carson Wentz, and then Tom Brady. And I am warming up to that old man. The thing that just has me nervous about him is he's 43 years old, and the difference between the first 8 games last season and the last 8 games is pretty stark.
Yeah.
He was 25.4 points per game in the first 8 games. And then he drops down to like 18. Like now you're looking at like a poopy QB2, you know. This is
Well,
that's a
I,
7-point swing. And to me, I don't know, man. I got my guesses. I think the O-line was a big part of it, but I think he's gonna have a similar year. I think he's gonna start out hot. I think he might start out, you know, with just monumental games out of the gate. But I think I'm worried about his eyesight. if I had to really put my finger on it, I think I'm worried he's got 43-year-old eyes, man. Like that's what I saw toward
what about
the
a
end of
43-year-old
last
brain?
season.
What about that?
Yeah, 43-year-old brain, 43-year-old reaction time. I just think I think if he doesn't have a Jekyll and Hyde season, if he's Tom Brady, you know, if he's TB12, a 43-year-old quarterback doing that in the league. I mean, this is. I mean, he's already had the most storied career, you know, in all of football, and I would say if he does it again this year, he might have the most storied career in all of sports. I mean, and he does have the opportunity. I was worried about the offensive line there, and Pro Football Focus has them as number 13, so it's not. They're projecting them as the 13th best line. So I don't know.
Can I build off of something that you said earlier that I want to highlight? I think is a good strategy. People kind of, if we gloss over it real quick, it's kind of a throwaway comment you made. If you draft Tom Brady, maybe expect that fall off and be looking for either someone you could pick up in week 5, 6, 7 who has a nice schedule going into the back half of the season, or somebody who's elevated their game. Drew Lock might be available. He might suck. Gardner Minshew, Derek Carr is going to fling it. And he did. Breaking news: he lost Tyrell Williams today. He's out for the season. So you might want to go back into my rankings and adjust them for me for Ruggs. So.
We will be talking about that.
We'll be talking about Ruggs soon. Yeah, yes. We'll be revealing that. No, I like it. I think what you're thinking with these guys is true. You know, my man Bo McBigtime, author of and creator of the Hot Box brand hot sauce, one of the best hot sauces ever in the history of existence. He's advocating for Kyler and Deshaun Watson kind of being above those guys. I'm not going to say no. I see his points. He's showing volume and rushing upside potential, which Brady and Brees do not have. I agree with him on both those points. The problem is, at least for me with Watson, he just lost his best weapon. He's got some unproven wide receivers right now who've proven it, but not with him in longevity. And then he's got a terrible, terrible general manager. I mean, just one of the worst general managers in the league, who also is his coach. And he's not that great at that either. So, the Bob effect is real for Deshaun Watson. Imagine Deshaun Watson in, Philly or in New England or in just somewhere where the guy was competent enough to not leave him back there doing nothing. He'll send all 3 receivers on deep sprints to the goal line, and Deshaun Watson is dancing behind the line of scrimmage for like 8 seconds. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Come on, design some concepts.
I'm sorry. I had Deshaun Watson in between those. He's my only quarterback in the 7th round. So I actually have Deshaun Watson ahead of Matt Ryan. And it's just based on his skill. I mean, I think, he'll have a good season. But yeah, last year, the way I was picking Deshaun Watson is he was the 3rd QB off the board for me. And he's definitely gone down because of all the things you just said. So,
yeah, the Bob impact is real. All right, so let's transition next to, we talked about the QBs. Hopefully you have a plan to get your guy if you're not getting in the first couple rounds, maybe you're going to wait on QB. Maybe you're late round QBing it, and your guy is coming up in the next couple shows. But
Yeah.
let's pivot to a hot topic right now, and that is rookie running backs. I was on the great Peter Howard's podcast recently, and he put me to task a little bit about my view of Cam Akers. I appreciate it, challenged my thinking about it, not because I doubt rookie running backs, but just because the job was up for grabs and it wasn't clear who was getting it. Well, Henderson is hurt for right now, and so Akers does have a pathway to more success. I did move him up in my rankings. I replaced him at the end of the 5th round, and I bumped down our boy DeAndre Swift. We both have DeAndre Swift at the 6.02, so we're kind of in lockstep there. You have Cam Akers at 6.01, one pick away from me. So what I wanted to do is kind of get into where the rookie running backs stand right now, and where do you project them? Are you looking at for Cam Akers a more productive initial part of the season, or maybe for DeAndre Swift waiting for him a little bit later to break out? How do you view rookie running backs when you put them in your team? Because what you said earlier is key. You have to have a construct that allows for them to be put into your team. You can't rely on them as your RB2s necessarily. They need to be more flexes if you're going to be looking for that upside value in positional, for you said that 200-point threshold. So tell me about what you do and how you view these guys.
So again, I put these guys back to back because I think they're all really valuable. And if I'm going to pick one of them, I'm going to pick Cam Akers first. And yeah, I mean, based on Darrell Henderson's leg injury, yeah, he's probably gonna move up draft boards. Like that's
right.
If I was readjusting everything, I'm gonna say he's gonna move up. But again, all I was hearing about Darrell Henderson is just how great he was looking in camp, and that they were really interested in using him. I don't understand it. I think I would, whether they were going to use him or not, I would put Cam Akers first, because I think that's the weakest back these 3 running backs are facing. I think Cam Akers has the most opportunity to get into the RB1 role, but all 3 of these guys are dealing with a committee situation. So that's, that's why they're going later, because it's not CEH, they're not going to have just a ton of volume. So I have Cam first, but I was going through today, everyone says Jonathan Taylor is the next Saquon Barkley. And I think he's phenomenal talent, but man, I was looking at the highlights today on all 3 of these guys, and if I was picking them based on what I was looking at, I would say DeAndre Swift is the best running back out of that draft class. I think DeAndre Swift has the best vision out of those guys. I think Jonathan Taylor is just a freak,
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift, Cam Akers, they're both like almost the same back, like 5'10", 215, 4'4", 4'8", 40 time for DeAndre Swift, 4'7" for Cam Akers. Like Jonathan Taylor, he's 5'10", 226.
Yeah.
And he runs a sub 4.4, 4.39 40 time. So that's just freakish stuff, dude. And I get the Saquon comparisons a little bit. But when I was watching tape, I honestly thought DeAndre Swift, he plays against better competition, and his line of sight on angles and stuff like that to me looked like the best. So but again, this is, who's gonna perform on your team. So I'm gonna say it goes Cam, DeAndre Swift, and then Jonathan Taylor. Man, it's just he has a great opportunity to come in with the Colts. Pro Football Focus has them as the number one offensive line.
Yeah.
Um,
And one of the easiest schedules too for the year.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's just Marlon Mack. It's like Marlon Mack last year. If he plays a complete season, he's a fringe RB1. So he's 24 years old. It's not like it's Frank Gore back there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he's gonna still eat in. There's gonna be a timeshare. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on the three dudes?
So, I have Jonathan Taylor ranked ahead of Cam Akers and DeAndre Swift. I have it Taylor and then Akers and then Swift. I think I moved Swift down because of the injury in camp. He's not getting reps right now. This is the hard part. I don't think necessarily that Swift is the worst of those three backs. Like, I agree with you. He reminds me of Alvin Kamara. He is slick in open field. He knows how to use his blockers. He knows how to get around, and he's not getting brought down by the first person who touches him either. So, whereas Jonathan Taylor is a freak. He hits the edge, he's gone. But in the NFL, it's hard to hit the edge. It's hard to hit the edge. So I think overall they're going to be really close. And if an injury happens on any of these teams to any of these committee members, I think Jonathan Taylor stands the most to benefit. I can see already in Detroit that Swift has an injury. Kerryon Johnson he's calling himself the knee brace guy. Hey, you might just want to call yourself unemployed. That's like me calling myself like the dumb guy. Like nobody wants to listen to the dumb guy. So
he says,
my man, Kerryon Johnson is he said, I sleep with my knee brace. I live with my knee brace. My knee brace is one with me. I love my knee brace. I'm a knee brace guy, basically. And so, I can't carry on. But, with Swift hurt too, it's uncertain. It's uncertain. So I like Jonathan Taylor out of that, and then I like Cam Akers next. But they're all really good running backs. And so, Peter Howard, you haven't won me over, but you definitely have kind of given me a little bit more to think about, and I appreciate that in this conversation.
Is Kerryon Johnson like half Forrest Gump? Like, what is he talking about?
Like RoboCop.
Yeah, what are you talking about? You're one with your knee brace? That's a little weird. That's another reason why DeAndre Swift to me is so exciting, is that Kerryon Johnson has missed. Yeah, he's played in 14 of 32 games so far in his career. So
Yeah.
You could bake in the fact that he's going to have more volume in that projection.
Yeah.
Everyone, and I know that there's a little bit of injury worry about him. But Matt Patricia was saying that there's really nothing specific to report. He has some sort of upper leg injury. So, I like all three of them. If I'm picking, I'm going Akers, DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor. And if I'm picking talent, it's neck and neck between Taylor and Swift. And if I'm picking the freak, it's Jonathan Taylor. So,
well, so I'm going to say I'll give also a shout out to DeAndre Swift too. I have him projected for 200 rushing attempts, give him around 1,000 yards, a little under 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. But here's the key. This is where I think he's going to shine: is the targets. I gave him 68 targets, 51 receptions, gave him a couple of TDs off that, about 400 yards. If he's a 1,300 yard guy, he's going to help you win your league.
Right.
Like that's the thing. So maybe I'm not super bullish on him. They ran the football a lot last year. I have the team running for 450 attempts, and I only gave our guy Swift a 45 or 50% or RB carry split, or a 45% overall carry of all carries. When you throw in the quarterback carries and wide receiver carry here and there, so it's not even like he's getting over 50%. And he ends up kind of those numbers break out. So if he gets more, let's say our guy Kerryon Johnson can't play and he gets 50%, 55% of the carries, you're talking about an RB2. And that's what you kind of want in these rounds, like you talked about before. You want a guy who's going as an RB3 or flex being your RB2 and stepping up for you. So Swift does have a path to that. Hopefully that leg injury is nothing more than a kind of, keeping him safe. And we'll kind of monitor that as we go, because that guy, if in 2 weeks we're drafting and he's available, and he's doing good and health wise, I want him on my team in this round for sure.
Yeah, and he's playing behind Forrest Gump, so that's something to
Right.
keep in mind.
And Bo Scarborough. Don't forget Bo Scarborough. It does
Oh,
actually
Bo.
give Jason Huntley, who's an undrafted rookie, a little bit of an edge too. He's a scat back guy, catch the ball. So they're who knows what's going to happen with COVID and with the Lions. Hopefully everyone stays healthy. But this is a backfield to monitor this year for sure. No
Right.
Theo Riddick. He's gone. He went to the Raiders to make everyone scared of Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I mean those are the rookies. I have J.K. Dobbins in at 8.10. I am interested in that guy, but he's just not in the same tier as those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how camps go, yeah, both Cam Akers and DeAndre Swift they're gonna probably people are gonna draft them earlier, especially fantasy heads. So
Yeah.
um,
Well, thankfully, not that many fantasy heads in our league.
I can't wait for our draft, dude. I just can't
Oh my
wait.
gosh, it's going to be incredible. I'm so excited for it.
So yeah, those are that's kind of the main stuff that we kind of want to highlight as far as strategy. The rookie running backs, the quarterback tiers in these rounds. Those are kind of the broad brush stuff. But we did have some individual picks. I know you really just had one. If you want to talk
Coming
about,
around on yours too. I'll let you get to
yeah,
yours.
yeah. So
But
we basically have four guys, and I'm with you too on your guy. I have him back to back. So yeah, I know that these are the four guys that we say get them in these rounds. Get these guys on your team. I think that they're going to be guys that end up way outperforming where they're going in on draft boards. So who's your guy? Who you want to talk about?
I would say Hollywood Brown this year is going to be my guy in those middle rounds. He's going right now. If you go to the 444 ADP tool, which is a great free tool that they have, you can go look and see, and it'll give you the breakdown of where all the players are going in 10-man leagues and 12-man leagues, in ESPN leagues, and in all the different leagues, NFL. So right now, if you're picking up, my guy. You're going to have to get him, Marquise Brown. He is the wide receiver 28 off the board. He's right in that, wide receiver 25 to 30 range. I think he has a great chance to outperform that ADP and really have a wide receiver 2 and some weeks a wide receiver 1 upside. So you can get him right now at 609 in a 12 team. That's right around where we're looking at them as well in our rankings. I have him at 605 and 605, and you have him at 606. So we're right there. We say get him a little bit early if you need to. And then the other guy I have a little bit later than you. I'm trying to hide him, really. Let's be honest. I don't want everyone to know about him, but you put him right in front of Hollywood Brown. Tell us about your guy.
So I put Deontay Johnson
Love it.
as
That's my guy.
yeah, he's my must pick guy. Both those guys are my must pick guys in the 6th round. I think both those guys. I think just Hollywood Brown. I was listening to the Footballers. He's one of I think it's Jason's my guys.
Love those guys.
He was talking about an article by Curtis Patrick
Love that.
where he fits a pretty cool metric where if you were a first round rookie, you averaged more than 5 targets per game, and you got 5 more points than what you were expected to get in your rookie year. Historically, there is a sophomore bump in those players of in our league it'd be something like 40 points.
Jeez.
So I love him. The only thing I'm just a little bit hesitant why I put Deontay Johnson ahead of him is just the passing volume. But to me, they're like coin flips. I think Deontay Johnson to me is a lot of the experts are hyping him, and I think for good reason. I mean, you saw I faded Juju hard.
Yeah.
Juju. And it's not because of talent or anything. It's just for whatever reason the way he gets used, and just really his sort of his skill set. I put Juju at the end of the 5th round just because of the potential, and
Hmm.
but the reason why I'm so high on Deontay Johnson is I think he's going to be the wide receiver 1. I honestly think that
Yeah.
he was last year, and there's things about him that, as a fantasy guy, that one of the things that I love about him is he does punt returns. Um, he led the league last year in average yard. His average yards was 12.4, which led the league. He was number 6 in yardage, and that was just based on not getting as many punts. But I look at him as somebody that, pretty realistically could get you 80 receptions. I mean, I was looking at your projections on him too. 80 receptions, 900 plus yards. I think last year he had 5 receiving TDs. I'd put him at 7. Give him another punt return TD. Now he's at 8. So now you're looking, you're definitely in the wide receiver 2 category, and he's a wide receiver 4. Off the board. So, but one of the things that was really unique about him too, he's number 1 in target separation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's an interesting stat because if you look at some of the other players, like I think Albert Wilson, Jimmy Graham were really high. But if you're willing to kind of look at the stats, rule out, big tight ends or whatever, and you just focus on the wide receivers, some of the guys that had really high scores on that, they didn't have a lot of, like Geronimo Allison, I think was one of them. They didn't have a lot of receptions. They didn't have a ton of targets. Deontay Johnson is right there with the guys, that had more volume. The other guys are like Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. So to me, it's an interesting stat. It's worth, I think, paying attention to. And basically target separation is a receiver's average yards of separation distance from the closest defensive back. So for wide receivers, he was 1. So I don't see why that, when you're looking at Big Ben coming into that offense again, he did that last year with Mason Rudolph and Devin Hodges. I mean,
Right.
So to me, he's just got a ton of upside.
Yes. No, I agree with you. He didn't run the fastest 40 at 4.53. It was in the 56th percentile. And I think because of that, people disrespect him. And I think his route running is very strong. His burst score is, in the 36th percentile. So some of his metrics don't jump off the page, but he is a great football player. And I think people are holding that against him. I'm going to be investing in him as well. I think Deontay Johnson is going to be a great player for you this year. He's going to be that wide receiver 2 in your squad that brings you stability each week in that offense.
Yeah, and so the team on my draft board that had him, you could have Tyreek Hill, Miles Sanders, Melvin Gordon, Calvin Ridley, T.Y. Hilton, and Deontay Johnson. Now, obviously, that's just my draft board. It'd be some variation there, but again, that's the wide receiver 4, and he might you know, on that team, he might do better than T.Y. Hilton.
Right.
And Calvin Ridley, we've all got pretty high,
Well,
pretty high
I'll
ceiling
tell
for
you
that
a
guy. But
stat that kind of stands out to me is that his catchable target rate is 73% last year with like you said, terrible quarterbacks. You know, his true target catch rate is 88%, and that's 16th in the league. And so imagine with a healthy Ben Roethlisberger, he looked like he lost a bunch of weight, and shaved his beard and sort of stopped drinking beers, and started doing more sit-ups and stuff. And so let's say that Big Ben does stay healthy this year. You got to think that's going to be a little bit higher. He's going to maybe improve. Maybe it can be top 10 in true catch rate. So to me, that is a guy you want in the 50-50 balls down there, getting that hands on, separated from, getting into space and taking it to the house. So yeah, I'm a Deontay Johnson guy too.
and you get some of those punt return points.
Right. The
I
Dale Green points.
it's a nice little thing to tuck into the value of the player, dude. So yeah. Yeah, so those are our 6th-round guys. I wanted to talk about who I think I've got him, I don't know, 3 rounds ahead of his ADP. This is my 7th-round guy. I am all about drafting Matt Breida in 2020. And I think I'm looking at it right now. His ADP on the thing I'm looking at is 9.09. So I have him at 7.08. So 2 rounds higher. And again, the reason why is I believe that he is he could be an RB2 at the end of the year with the way that he's going to fit into that offense. So these were the things that really led into the consideration for him. Is go back and look. I think it's Next Gen Stats. You know who had the fastest time of any ball carrier last year, 2019?
Oh, it's got to be one of those fast wide receivers, or Nick Chubb on that play that Earl Thomas quit on. I don't know.
An 83-yard rushing touchdown by my boy Matt Breida. He clocks at 22.3 miles per hour on that play in shoulder pads.
That's fast.
Yeah. So the kid has wheels. Another interesting thing, go back and look at 2018's fastest player on Next Gen Stats. Guesses.
I'm gonna guess Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, maybe.
It is one Matt Breida. Clocking in.
Fool me once. I don't know. Fool me twice.
Clocking in at 22.09 miles per hour on a 33-yard rush.
A 33-yard. So wow, that's a lot of speed on a short rush.
The kid has wheels. And, I just think the way that offense is going to work, they still have a horrible line. So the pass catching back is going to be the more valuable back. It seems like the way you're looking at, projections for those guys, like I think I was Fantasy Pros, who do you draft, Jordan Howard or Matt Breida? They're kind of going around the same place in drafts, and they were, picking Jordan Howard. I don't see how Jordan Howard is going to really do much more than, he'll do goal line work for sure. But I don't see how he doesn't do anything more than just, do 3-yard carries. And I think I think as Breida builds on exciting plays, you're going to see him featured more. And I mean, to me, he kind of reminds me of Austin Eckler. I think he's somebody that he can run the football too. 2019 he had 600 yards rushing the football. 2018 he had 800 yards rushing the football. So, bake that in, and when you look at guys that get 70 targets, these are RB2s or better. And if he ends up with over 400 yards receiving, three receiving touchdowns, 5 rushing touchdowns, I don't see why that's not a crazy projection for that guy. So he's my 7th round guy, Mr. Matt Breida, the fastest guy carrying the ball the last 2 years in the NFL.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And, I'm going to tell you, just pull back the curtain here. I'm the guy who inputs the rankings on our site. And my man Bo McBigtime, love him, shout out Bo McBigtime, he just shared with me that I had Breida twice. I had Breida twice in the 7th round. I liked him so much, I wanted you to draft Breida twice. But that's just how we do it. We both have him in the 7th round, mid-7th round. I agree with you, man. He is one of those guys who, in DFS last year, he did break out for that 33-yard run. He did have those flashes, and I always was aware of him, and I think he's a sneaky little play. Now, here's the deal. You don't have to get him here. You can get him in the 8th round. So if you're in your home league, for me, what I would do is I would grab Deontay Johnson in the 7th round, and then, if you didn't get him, and then I would come back around, and then I get my man Matt Breida. So that's just me. I want to get all my guys, but if I wait, sometimes I snooze, I lose. Not always you get your guys. So we'll see how it turns out.
To me, the guys that are the most valuable in that round that I have are Matt Breida, Will Fuller potentially. If he stays on the field, Will Fuller could be in wide receiver 1. And just, who knows? He's just the most interesting. I like Breida. And then also Tyler Boyd. Those are the guys that I think really could have big breakout years. But I say pull the trigger on him, because if he ends up being a RB2 on your team, and you're drafting him as the RB4, that's how you win. You got guys that you drafted at RB. So you're advocating drafting him at RB5. I say draft him at RB4. Why wait? Get him on your team.
I agree. Here's what I'm going to do. And maybe you're not a psychopath like I am, but I analyze the guys in my league, their drafting patterns, where they like to draft guys, how they like to draft guys. So, I know the guys I'm around this year, and, I'm going to be looking at, are they guys who load up on RB in the beginning rounds and then they pivot to wide receiver, quarterback, tight end? If so, I know that Breida might be able to hang around for a little bit longer. So you really also have to play the guys in your league up against themselves and their old patterns, and kind of, what you don't have to get inside their mind completely. But, last year I knew certain players would be gone by certain rounds, knowing how our tendencies are. And if you guys draft heavy RB right away, or maybe you guys are more progressive and you like to wait and a bunch of wide receivers are going right away, you have to do what you have to do. I bet you could get him though in the 8th round and maybe not worry about it, because his ADP is in the 9th. And so that's all I'm saying, is that me and Mike have different philosophies. He's go get around early. I'm maybe get an extra round of value, but we'll see what happens this year with him in our league, because I want him and you want him. And we both have him at the 7th round. So it's going to be interesting. You get the first pick in the 7th.
Yeah, only on certain guys. That I just, again, I've spent time building my projections. I've spent time looking at stuff, and I look at somebody. To me, again, he has an Austin Eckler type skill set. Breakaway run rate, number 6. True yards per carry, That discounts all runs greater than 10 yards. He's number 10. So
He's top 10.
He averaged 5.1 yards per carry. So I don't see Jordan Howard really doing well on that offensive line. Like, I think his ceiling is just way higher than everybody else has him. So that's, again, why I say pick Matt Breida. Make sure you get him in the 7th round. So that is that's
wait.
7th.
Wait. There's one good friend.
Yeah.
Henry Ruggs needs to be on your team. He is going to break out this year. I'm not leaving our draft without him. Now, maybe that means you get Matt Breida and I get Ruggs. So be it.
No, but Henry Ruggs was the last.
He's going to be a beast this year. I just want to put it out before we transition.
No, that was my last guy. That's my 8th round guy. Henry Ruggs is Cash's pick of the draft.
Ooh, I love it.
Henry Ruggs is Cash's pick of the draft. I have him in the 8th round strictly because of ADP, and now I didn't even know Tyrell Williams was out. I have no problem with you drafting Henry Ruggs in the 4th or 5th round. I'm serious. His ADP is like in the 10th round. I'm sure that's going to change a lot with this new. Yes. What's the Tyrell Williams injury? Do you know?
I just saw that it looked like it was out for the year.
Out for the year.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
I pick him in the 4th or 5th round, dude. I have no problem with it. That guy, to me, there's a reason why he was the first wide receiver picked. He fits into the NFL so perfectly. The comps on him is he's Tyreek Hill. Guess what? Guess what he is? He's Tyreek Hill with 10.5-inch hands.
Huge hands.
He's got 10.5-inch hands. He's 5'11" and he has 10.5-inch hands.
Holy moly.
He can run a 4.27 and reach up and just go like that with the ball while he's running a 4.27. I was watching highlights of him. He doesn't even look like he's trying to run fast when he runs. He doesn't. He just starts accelerating
himself. He's not hustling. Imagine if he tried.
He looks like he's just like, all right, now I've made a decision to run faster than the person near me. And he just starts running. He just moves away from whatever person is pursuing him. Yeah, that's Cash's pick of the draft, dude. I have him in the 8th round in this new information. I'm gonna. We'll see who gets Henry Ruggs.
Bo's correcting me. He said torn labrum. He's playing through it. That's you're not playing through a torn labrum.
Well, I'll tell you this: we'll see who gets Henry Ruggs in our league. Yeah, because I'm gonna get Henry Ruggs.
That's Bondruk.
That's Cash's pick of the draft. I don't know who Stax's pick is. Cash's pick of the draft. He's going to win you your league. It's Henry Ruggs.
Well, we haven't gotten to my pick of the draft yet, my friend, but it's coming. It's a late round special. It's coming. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's the plan. We did round 6 through 8. We're going to do 9 through 11 next week. And then we'll get to 12 through 14, and then that's who cares about defenses and kickers. So, yeah.
Well, apparently, in the local league, nobody does. Because we put up for vote on do we want kickers in the local league? Nobody wants a kicker in our league.
Really? So, they all voted it down? I would take it. I'd be.
Well, no one's. Well, 5 people have come out against it. Denny, I've not heard from, and. He's the kicker advocate. He writes articles about kickers. So my joke was, some of those kickers, I said the Zendejas brothers have bought him Patreon snowmobiles. He likes the kickers. Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know if he'll stage a coup or he'll just kind of accept it. But we'll see. But Bo also wants to throw Tony Pollard in there. You can get Tony Pollard later, Bo, though. So I'm okay with waiting on Tony Pollard. But yeah, he is somebody we'll sneak a talk on a little bit. In next rounds, he's my guy as well, Bo. I have him on the Scott Fish team. So let's do a transition. I think we wrapped up kind of 6 through 8, and outstanding analytical work, my good friend, on your behalf. I gotta say, some of your best. Let's get into 3 tweets.
Okay.
And see how that is gonna play out.
Okay.
Because I feel like there's some tweets that we can share. You want to go first? You want me to go first? How would you like this game to be played?
I just sent you mine. Make
Okay.
sure you got it in your
I'm gonna pull it up right now.
your inboxes.
Is it from Star Baby?
Yeah. So pull up the main tweet.
The main tweet of video?
No. Yeah, so
Is it little and pink?
no, my tweet was deleted. Oh, that
that's-
sucks so bad. What happened?
What happened?
I don't know. It was such a great tweet.
Oh, you lost your tweet?
Well, I have another one. I have a backup one, but
Okay.
that stinks.
I've got a tweet to share.
Okay, you share yours.
Let's go down to me. It's my tweet. It's the one that has a video of a squirt gun.
I don't give a shit about what.
My guy went off before he should have. So there's gonna be some not safe for language things going on in this video. I just want to warn people for the kids. I'm gonna give the backstory to this. This is a reaction video. You know, I'm a Patreon of Denny Carter. I think he's one of the best people ever. And he shared a story on his Living the Stream, which you should all become Patreons for, by the way. Support the good man, Dennis. Love him. He shared a story about some gun nuts who had a club where they would put guns up on their junk. And they would videotape. It was like, Nut Gun Club. And one of the guys was live streaming this event to his boys. And then he shot himself in the man meat. And Danny just kind of went on to I just talk about the stupidity of it all. And so, I'm a man who doesn't like to be told what to do. So I went out and I'm going to show him.
Wait. Is this the one it says no one's going to tell me how to live my life?
Yes.
Okay.
It's got a video, and you got to blow that video up. And
Okay.
when you're ready to go, let me
I
know.
don't
We
give
can
a
push
shit
play.
about what.
All right.
You got to go back. Yeah, go
Okay.
a little bit back.
All right. 3.
All right, you ready?
2, 1, go.
I don't give a shit about what happens. Man, Danny, I'll live my life how I want to, bro. I don't give a shit, man. I'll point this at my thing if I want to, man. You back up, Danny. Who you think you are? Telling people they can't. I don't give a shit about what happens. I don't give a shit about.
So, for those who are just listening on the podcast, not having the chance to follow along at home, it would have been helpful if I shared my screen on that one, because I didn't. It was great. YouTube fail. Anyway.
We're the best.
Anyway, in the video, the squirt gun goes off, and I get soaked. It's terrible. It's just terrible. So I was just my homage to Denny mocking guys who really did that with real guns, and the thought that they had in their head was the same thought that I had as a joke. And so I thought I'd share that with everybody. So
Okay. I just sent you my backup one.
okay.
This is by my favorite person in all of Twitter. His name is Scotty at Maryland Mudflap. He is easily the best tweeter. There used to be some competition with him. He's by far the best tweeter in all of the tweeter universe. So, this is nothing special for him. This is just another great tweet. It goes like this. Scotty says, listening to Fast Car with my eyes closed. Fast Car is the Tracy Chapman song. You get a fast car. Love that song. Listening to Fast Car with my eyes closed and imagining Tracy Chapman doing donuts in a Viper in a busy Burger King parking lot. I love that. You get
It's
a fast
busy.
car, and she's just yeah.
He a fast car.
Yeah.
It's a fast enough drive away. You gotta make a decision.
That is the jam, dude. That song still gets me, man. I love when that song. If that song comes on, I'm cranking it, and I'm feeling like depressed too.
Yeah, something sad, something.
Yeah, like I feel like lonely, like all of a sudden, you know.
I know. Field of Gold does that by Sting. Whenever I hear Field of Gold, I just want to die. So
That gets you like that.
I just want to start crying when I hear that song. I'm just like, as they walked in fields of gold. I'm just like, oh my god, they don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I feel like Fast Car makes me, I don't know, like not cut myself, but just like.
Want to?
I mean, it's like I get
Think
cut.
about it.
Like it's like I can understand cutters better after I listen to that song. I don't understand them, but like after I listen to that song, I'm like, I guess I understand cutting better.
Makes a little more sense now.
Yeah, it just made. I don't know. I love that song, man. It makes me just feel like it's like cold, and I have no one in the world, you know. So. I love that. I love that tweet.
I think it's a great tweet, and I would say if your other tweet hadn't failed, you would win. But I think it looks like I maybe have won since you don't have another tweet. But
that is true.
I will share this tweet. It is from me, but it's Dana White, and if you click on it, it's like an 8-second video of Dana White, or 5-6 second video of Dana White, and they ask Dana White why Oscar De La Hoya is getting back into fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And let me know when that video is ready for you.
All right.
Let's go.
I will get it up. Hold on.
Maybe just one of us pushes go. If you want to push go, I'll push go on mine, but I won't put the sound on for mine. Or I can put the sound on for mine.
I'll put it on mine. You put the sound down, all right?
I'll mute mine. All right, you say when to go.
All right. All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Cocaine isn't cheap. It's expensive. Got to make money.
It's true.
So, a British reporter was like, "Hello, Dana. Why do you think that Oscar De La Hoya at 53 has decided to step back in the ring, or whatever age is?" And then Dana White, he just without missing a beat, just goes,
"Cocaine isn't cheap. It's expensive.
It's awesome.
Make money."
He's so funny.
Cocaine isn't cheap.
No.
It's expensive.
It's expensive.
Got to make money.
It's got to make money. And that's his friend. That's what he said. He said, "Your friend, Oscar De La Hoya."
They're not. They hate each other. He hates.
I
hates
know.
every other promoter. Or he has disdain
It's
for
my
him.
favorite clip. He just crushes him. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, there's probably there's a lot of truth said in jest in this world. I don't even know if that's jest. So I have no idea.
He's savage, man. Dana White is savage. Remind me never to piss Dana White off.
No,
go crush me.
Did you know that like him and Mark Wahlberg? Do you know that I think the character in Entourage, Dom, is kind of based on him?
Oh, Dom's great, man.
Yeah, the Dominator, I think, is based on Dana White. Like, they're old friends.
That's hilarious.
Like, he used to come out and visit Wahlberg when he was like just doing Boogie Nights and like taking over Hollywood and stuff, and he was just some like rinky-dink karate instructor. He also almost got murdered by Whitey Ford.
I heard that story.
Yeah.
Whitey
Bulger.
That's why he went to Vegas.
Yeah, that's why he moved to Vegas. Whitey Bulger came in and did his mafia move where he's just like, "Hey, guess what? You gotta pay me a bunch of money now, or I'm gonna kill you, you piece of shit."
You'll break your legs.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard stories about how he would come in and people would say he'd just look at them and be like, "You're gonna give me the money." And people would be like, "Yeah, I am. You're right." And he just did that all over Boston. And he did that to Dana White. And Dana White was like, "I'm going to move to Vegas. And then I'm going to take over the UFC. I'm going to hang out with Mark Hollywood in between those. Mark Wahlberg in between those two moments in my life."
Sound like a good plan.
Yeah, he's had a pretty good life, I think.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to throw shade at Dana White at all. I love that he had Fight Island. That was incredible. In a moment we had no sports, they took over. I think it was Yaz Island, and they had 3 straight weeks of UFC fights, five different set cards. That was great. So Dana, hats off to you, my friend.
Yeah, Dana, it's a fun product, my man. So
yeah, big time. And Mike and I are not trying to transition into another podcast or anything. We've just been watching UFC for 15 years, so it's been a long haul for us, maybe 14 years. So anyway, shout out, by the way, as we wrap the show up today, shout out Nimble with Numbers is coming out in a couple weeks. I got Bo McBigtime as my writer. We got his article is going to drop this week. We have Bo's Hot Box Batch Hot Sauce. Go to hotboxbatch.com, order yourself some. There's just a lot going on right now when it comes to
the millionaires.
Yeah, we're killing it. This is true.
How many air horns was today?
It started off as a shit show. I would have given it -3 air horns.
Yeah.
We pulled it out of the fire.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it, 2 air horns today myself.
2 air horns. Okay. Well.
Second reason.
Yeah. Well, I think
that was the second one.
That's what living is.
That is what living is. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, I just want to say one more thing to you, bro, before we end it.
Tell me. Hit me with it.
I'm gonna roundhouse your ass.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
That's crazy. By the way, Bo McBigtime said, outstanding show. Great show, guys, he said. 3 exclamation points. So you better listen to this. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Fantasy Millionaires, on YouTube. Check us out on Stitcher, on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, on Apple Podcasts. Check us out on our website, thefantasymillionaires.com. Check us out on Twitter at the Ralph Macho Mike. Check me out at Nimble W Numbers. And you know what? Check out my boys over at BDGE, Big Dogs Gotta Eat. I've been featured in one of their blog posts on Friday. I did something for their draft. Those are the best guys. Nick, Animal, Snacks, my man. Those are some great people. So go and give them a follow if you don't already. Listen to their podcast and check out last Friday's episode, the Do Not Draft list. I am on that for the first 10 minutes, and I am popping. So check me out.
That's what living is.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well,
Next
signing
week.
out. See y'all next week. We're going to do
Peace.
9 through 11 and help you win your league. Peace.
Winners.